India's new climate pledge. What has changed? India has unveiled a new climate target under the Paris Agreement. The Union Cabinet has approved India's updated Nationally Determined Contribution or NDC for the period 2031 to 2035. The new pledge has three headline targets. First, India will aim to cut the emissions intensity of its GDP by 47% below 2005 levels by 2035. Second, it will seek to achieve 60% of cumulative installed electricity capacity from non-fossil sources by 2035. And third, it has set a target to create a 3.5 to 4 billion ton carbon sink through forest and tree cover by 2035 compared to 2005 levels. So what does this mean? Emissions intensity is the amount of emissions produced for every unit of GDP or economic output. A lower emissions intensity means the economy is growing in a less carbon intensive way. India is not promising an absolute cut in total emissions here. Instead, it is committing to make its growth cleaner over time. On the power front, India's earlier updated NDC had set a target of 50% non-fossil installed power capacity by 2030. The new target raises that to 60% by 2035. According to official government sources, non-fossil installed capacity had already reached 50% of the total by June 2025. Experts opine that this new capacity addition target will not be out of reach for the country either. As of December 31st, 2025, India's non-fossil installed capacity stood at 266.78 gigawatts or 51.9% of the total, while fossil fuel-based capacity stood at 246 gigawatts or 48% of the total. On forests and carbon sinks, India's earlier pledge was to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2030. The new target increases that to 3.5 to 4 billion tons by 2035. The broader message is India is updating its climate promise by pushing for economic growth, increasingly decoupled from emissions, a larger non-fossil power base, and a bigger carbon sink. At the global climate policy level, multilateralism is under significant strain. Large historical and current emitters, such as the United States, are reneging on climate pledges and obstructing cooperation that is needed for collective action. COP summits are increasingly reflecting the fractured geopolitics of the world today. Ongoing genocide and war make climate targets seem like second priority at best, probably rightfully so. But this is also precisely why the new climate commitments of major global south emitters like China and India have been so closely under scrutiny. As of now, both countries' updated NDCs are being seen as under-promising and therefore highly likely to deliver on their respective targets. The real test, however, lies ahead. How quickly these commitments translate into measurable changes on the ground remains to be seen. But what is absolutely certain is that the world's two most populous countries, both emerging economies, have finally presented updated climate targets at a time when the global north is retreating from climate ambition. So one thing is clear, this shows that the global south leadership on climate ambition is concrete and real.